Now, I have said in part 2 that the names match the bloodline in the Bible. It's not the other way round, that the bloodline conforms to the name. The naming in the Bible is not manipulated like it is in real life to suit people's own choice of whether they want to regard their bloodline as pure or holy or righteous or corrupt, because some people want to be corrupt and so they choose a corrupt name, or they ascribe a name to try and perpetrate corruption onto a righteous situation, to try to corrupt the bloodline. But the Bible, I said, it matches, the name matches the bloodline. But what I didn't say is the Bible is facetious, because in Joshua chapter 10, the first king of Jerusalem was a king of Ham, of Noah's son Ham, not a king of Shem, Noah's eldest son Shem. And Shem in Hebrew means God's name. It means the name, that means the name of God. But Ham was led to the Hamites, who were unrighteous because they were the Canaanites, the Philistines, the enemies of Israel. And Israel came through Shem, the name of God, and had characteristics of that bloodline. So there were two bloodlines: the Canaanites' bloodline through Ham, which was corrupt and sinful and rebellious against God's name; Shem, whose bloodline was pure and led to the Israelites, and then led to King David and King Solomon, and right through to Joseph and Mary and Jesus. But in Joshua chapter 10, the name of the first Hamite king of Jerusalem, and it was Hamite, remember, which was rebellious, was Adonai Zedek, which means Lord righteous. But that is the Bible being facetious, because I've said that God is facetious in the Bible sometimes. And to be facetious means to make a very serious point in a flippant and jovial and light-hearted manner, which makes it even more serious. That's the nature of irony. To say something off the cuff, casual, jokingly, when you're making a very serious recommendation or point. So the Bible does have facetious aspects to it in certain cases, like the land of Nod, where God sent Cain after he murdered Abel. It was really God shaking his head about Cain killing Abel. Or Nod, like people were just nodding off to sleep as though they didn't do anything about it. They didn't do anything in their heart about what happened to poor Abel, and they didn't do anything to punish Cain. They just nodded off and were blasé and treated it as though it was indifference, just indifference. So Abel name means Abel, A-B-L-E. Abel spelled in his name A-B-E-L, but it's the same word, Abel. And Nod is an English word, but Hebrew uses English words in its language, even in modern Israel today, to be sophisticated. And it was just the same in the Bible. So Nod in the Bible means nod, or it means nodding off. That's what it means. It's a Hebrew word, but it still means what the English word nod means. So the Bible uses names facetiously, but when he's being facetious, God, he's actually proving that he does actually mean the opposite. Like Adonai-Zedek was executed in Joshua 10 because he was the very unrighteous king he was a Hamite king of Jerusalem, and Jerusalem was predestined to be Shemite, from Shem, the name of God, the city of the Jews, the city of God's name. But the first king of Jerusalem wasn't Melchizedek, as it says in Genesis 14. That was anachronism for a later time when the king of Jerusalem would be a righteous king of Shem. So the first king of Jerusalem mentioned in the Bible came in Joshua, which was after Genesis. And that king was called Adonai-Zedek, not Melchizedek, but Adonai-Zedek, Lord righteous. But it's the Bible being facetious because he was unrighteous in the eyes of Israel, and they executed him and changed the ownership of the city from a Hamite city to a Shemite city. So names are corresponding in the Bible to bloodlines, but all I'm trying to say in this part 4 of this video, which I've been talking about part 2 of the video, is that names match the bloodline, but names in the Bible are sometimes literal, like as in Abel's name, or facetious, as in Cain's name. Cain wasn't a punisher, he was a murderer. Cain was given the name Cain, like Cain, C-A-N-E, but it's spelled C-A-I-N, but it's still Cain because the Bible does respect and use English. It understands English. Hebrew understands English. But Cain was not a punisher. He was a murderer. So it's facetious. And the land of Nod didn't mean nod. It meant shaking the head. And nodding off was a flippant remark about the people's indifference to what Cain did and to not caring about Abel. So the names are important in the Bible. And Lord Corliss in HBO home box office production of Game of Thrones' latest series called the House of the Dragon, Lord Corliss is talking to Renice, his wife, saying people don't remember bloodlines, they remember names. And this is proved through Henry VIII and his 6 wives, that people remember people by their names. And people will remember me by my name, Canamea, and they remember the Queen Elizabeth II's name, Windsor, and then they changed the name of Prince Andrew to Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, because Lord Corliss said people don't remember bloodlines in real life, they remember names. But the Bible doesn't go by names, it goes by bloodlines, but the names match in the Bible to the state of the bloodline, whether it's a good bloodline or a bad bloodline, a righteous bloodline or a wicked bloodline, a murderous bloodline. So even if the Bible uses a name facetiously like Adonai-Zedek in Joshua 10, the name is still to make you realize that it's a reflection of the bloodline. Whether it's a facetious reflection or a literal reflection doesn't matter, but the name always matches the bloodline in the Bible. But in real life, people change people's names and manipulate names because they know people go by names. And people who haven't thought about this think the Bible goes by names, but it doesn't. It goes by bloodlines, but it ascribes ascribes names that are befitting of the bloodline, either literally or facetiously, to exemplify the nature of the bloodline.